fitting the machine heads is really not very difficult. Of course, I use these Rogers machine heads that I really like. I think they're one of the best in the world, so I like using them on my guitars. These have Cocobolo buttons, and so I fit the machine heads like this, and maybe sometimes you'll need to, because there's a bit of lacquer maybe in the holes of the machine heads, so you have to clean those up. So take your drill and use like this. And then, let's see, I think this one and the other one was fine, so there we are, very nice. Then drill the holes. I put a center punch there first. And now drill the holes and screw the machine heads to the headstock. Good. Now to the other side. When you've glued on the bridge and the scratch plate, maybe you want to clean up a bit. Maybe you have some lacquer on the fretboard and some glue on the bridge. So clean that up and give it some oil. Any fretboard conditioner will do for both the fretboard and the bridge. And then there's only one thing left to do before we put strings on the instrument, and that's making the nut and the saddle. To make the nut, you take your nut blank and you sand it with 120 grit paper until it almost fits between the fretboard and headstock veneer. So start with 120 grit, and when it almost fits you switch to 220 and 320 or maybe 400, and then you polish it so it's nice and shiny. Well, we'll do the polishing later, but a bit more work there. This almost fits now, so I'm going to switch to 220 grit and then 320. So it should fit very snugly between the fretboard and the headstock veneer. Okay, so now 320, and then take a pencil and indicate the side of the neck, like this, and when your nut has the right width, then finish with 220 and 320 grit, and see, yep, then it's time to file the grooves for the strings. But before we do that, we have to assess how deep we can actually make the cuts. So I have here a pencil that I cut in half, and I put that on the first and the second fret, and then I draw a line like this. So this is how deep I'm going to go with the files. Now there's a lot of height that I don't need here, so I'm going to take off some of that first, and then file the slots. String spread at the nut is 9 millimeters less than the nut width, so about 3/8 of an inch. And string spread is center to center, so center E1 to center E6. So I have a 52 millimeter nut. That means that my string spread is going to be 43 millimeters, or 4.5 millimeters in from the side for both E1 and E6, and you don't want to divide the distance between those two, so the 43 millimeters into 6 equidistant parts, because then you have center to center, of strings that's the same, but you want the distance between the strings to be the same. So it's half E1 plus X plus half B2, and then half B2 plus X plus half G3. And then you take your knot file and you file down to the line that we just drawn when we put that pencil on the threads. There's one. And there we are. You can round it off now and make it smooth, or you can do that later because maybe you need some final adjustments when the strings are actually on the guitar. Making the saddle is about the same as making the nut, so it's pretty easy. Once it fits, you slide it in there, and with a last check, take your ruler and let it rest on the saddle and on either the first thread or in the slot of the nut, and then measure at the 12th thread, and you should have the desired string height minus maybe half a millimeter, because the top is going to come up once you put the strings on. So you're ready to string her up now. Close enough. If you want to do some fine adjustments, maybe do them now or do them later if you're really anxious to play it. Maybe lower the saddle if you can, or if you need a higher saddle, then do that now. And make a new one. Also the nut, if you haven't rounded off the edges yet, you can do that now. And well, play it. It may sound like a banjo or really tight at the beginning, but that'll loosen up in the after about 15 minutes. Up to this point, it's only been a couple of separate boards and planks and pieces of wood, and well, they're going to have to learn how to play together now and be a guitar. So this is the end of course 1 about the Spanish guitar. We're moving on to steel string guitars and archtops now. I hope you enjoyed watching and maybe found it informative, and if you've done the course in real life, then I hope it refreshed your memory. Unfortunately, I can't let you hear this guitar because I don't really have the ability to play, and also I don't have the gear to record it, so I'll give you one chord. But I will leave you now in the very capable hands of my good friend Arturo Ramon, who owns one of my Cocobolo models and has recorded some brilliant tracks right here on YouTube. Thanks for watching, and see you next time.